Hello and welcome back. Star Trek Discovery is cancelled with its fifth season being its last. Why didn't they do it sooner? Let's be real. Star Trek Discovery set the bar very low for new Trek. Atrocious writing, a few good ideas let down by horrible execution, a unlikable Mary Sue as the main character, breaking the Star Trek canon from little things to in-universe technology to whole plots and stories. Season 1 had the best budget, and actually I liked the Mirror Universe stuff. Season 2, I liked Pike. Then it just went downhill with the Red Angel suit needing to be piloted where it had autopilot. Like, your in-universe logic is ridiculous. And we all know that they wrote the time travel storyline to get away from canon. Because, the entire crew of the ship, everyone they loved and have ever known is dead. And they followed Michael because they're following Michael and they're so happy about it. But every single person is dead. The writing of Discovery was extremely uneven from the get-go. A shell of a show that just didn't work. And Star Trek has always been an ensemble thing, and having a main focus character without much going on. Michael was an absolutely horribly written character, and I think she would have been eaten alive by Picard. Let's be real. She would have been in the brig by now. Honestly, this show has been on life support for several years. Like, the ratings haven't been particularly good. They've slashed the budget. They're doing less and less episodes, and it just became this extremely clumsily handled political narrative that, fine, Star Trek has always been political. That is the nature of Star Trek. But it was so clumsy. And when you look at the in-universe technology, and this is a thing that bugs me about this, and people are, well, it's CGI, it's special effects, of course it's going to look different. I'm not talking about our technology, I'm talking about their technology. The timeline is completely broken. This is the original series happens not long before Kirk. And oh god, what were they thinking? Replicators? Anyway, I'm not going to go into a rant on that because I will be here forever, because it fundamentally broke Star Trek canon. It was horribly written. The characters didn't really flow and do anything. The best characters got sidelined for Michael, the Empress, Saru, Tilly. Great characters, all sidelined because it's the Michael show. This show didn't have a voice. It didn't feel like Star Trek. It didn't work, and it progressively deteriorated through and through, and they tried to insert classic Trek moments to kind of nostalgia bait people, but it didn't work. And then going to the future, which I will say was beautifully designed, but the show fell apart. And when season 3 of Picard is out, which is actually really good, I liked Picard from the start, but I will accept there were a lot of problems with Picard. But this new season is brilliant, and it sets the tone. I just wish I'd turn the lights on more in sets. Like, it's a really dark show, and it's really annoying. And actually, Strange New World did a good job, mostly. They seem to be retconning Discovery out of existence, and it's also the fact that the first 2 seasons of Discovery are completely inconsequential. It's treasonous to talk about them, but they are inconsequential TV show. It had no bearing on the overall plot. These characters are forgotten because reasons, MacGuffin. It just was not a good show, and it was missing that thing that made it Trek. I can sit here and pick out the flaws of every season of Star Trek that's ever existed. But you know what? At least they were consistent. Enterprise got off to a terrible start. Let's not lie on that one. But you know what? There were some great episodes and some great moments. And I honestly feel with Discovery, there isn't. It just broke canon. It broke the law of the galaxy, that the universe that Star Trek takes place in. It forgot that it has to be Star Trek. not some interpersonal journey with someone that cries at every other scene. Just an absolutely ghastly show that honestly, like, it killed Trek. Let's be real, it became a dead franchise. Like, Star Trek videos don't tend to get a lot of traction anymore. And when you look back at, say, the quality of Voyager, despite some hiccups, DS9, despite some hiccups, and everything TNG post-season 2, you look at that writing and you look at those characters, they were memorable, they were strong. We all knew these characters and spent time with them. On the other side of it, we know these characters were just shells, they were archetypes. Gay doctors. Okay. What else? Oh, I can use the spore drive. Why do you have a spore drive at this point in history? I mean, just... There's a whole list of things, and in my head I've always wanted to make a video on how Discovery breaks Star Trek canon. But, you know, in a show that's obsessed with prequels, in a series that loves a good prequel, why don't they look at the Lost era? There is a Lost era of Star Trek that is absolutely fascinating. It has only been touched upon in Star Trek universe and a handful of episodes and a few of the films. And there are some great books. They're non-canon, but there are some great books about the Lost era. So why not focus on that? You know, there's a whole unexplored, but obviously they won't do that because they want to rely on a current narrative. It's like making Michael the adopted human sister of Spock, but forgetting the amount of siblings that Spock actually has. I mean, there is... Like, that was done... That's a fan fiction trope, and that was done purely to tie Michael into something bigger, where she didn't need to be. Like, there are so many writing issues, and pacing issues, and structure issues, and canon issues to Discovery. Those first 2 seasons broke canon, and then they got away from canon, and now it's just disintegrating. Like, this show exists purely as content for a streaming service, and that's all it is. And if it had been on main TV, if this show had been on a normal television channel, network TV, whatever, at this point, it would have been cancelled. Let's be real. Like, its viewing figures are not good, and the budget cuts keep showing each season. So, I will not miss Star Trek Discovery. Star Trek Discovery I will never regard as canon in any way, shape or form, and it is an expensive piece of garbage fan fiction. There is my rant, and I will talk to you guys later.